Let me tell you something that most people are too afraid to say out loud. If you never try, you'll never know who you could have been. Now, I want you to just let that sit for a moment. Let it get uncomfortable if it needs to. Because the truth has a way of doing that. It shakes us awake. And some of us, we've been sleepwalking through our own lives. We've been showing up for everybody else's dreams, but ignoring the call of our own. We've been keeping busy so we don't have to face the fact that we're playing small. We've been telling ourselves the same story on repeat. It's not the right time. I'm not ready. I don't have what it takes. But here's what I know. Deep in my bones, deep in my soul, there is no excuse that can survive the truth of your potential. Not your age, not your childhood, not your bank account, not even your mistakes. Because the truth is, you can have a million reasons to wait, but all you really need is one reason to start. And that reason, it's you. You've made it through too much to stop here. You've survived too many storms to keep hiding from your own sunlight. You've carried dreams in your spirit for years, maybe since you were a child, and you owe it to that younger version of yourself to at least try. Not to be perfect, not to get it all right, but to show up for what matters. To try even when your voice shakes, even when nobody claps, even when it's hard. Because trying is more than effort. Trying is a spiritual decision. It's a way of saying to the universe, to the world, and to yourself, I refuse to leave this life without seeing what I'm truly made of. Let me say that again for the people who need to hear it deep. You do not get this life twice. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is not practice. This is it. And if you don't try, if you don't take the shot, start the thing, say the words, chase the dream, you'll never know what was waiting for you on the other side of fear. I have sat across from people who made it out of war zones, out of prison cells, out of heartbreak, out of poverty. And do you know what they all had in common? They didn't have the perfect plan. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't have certainty. But they tried anyway. And somewhere along the way, that trying turned into momentum. And that momentum turned into opportunity. And that opportunity turned into breakthrough. But it all started with that one brave, trembling step that said, I won't let my story end here. You want to know what the real tragedy is? It's not failing, it's not trying at all. Because when you don't try, you're not just saying no to a goal. You're saying no to you. You're saying no to growth, no to healing, no to the next version of you that's waiting, praying for you to step forward. So today, I'm not standing here to motivate you. I'm standing here to remind you. To remind you of who you really are underneath all the doubt. To remind you that trying doesn't make you weak, it makes you awake. To remind you that the version of you that dares to try, even when it's hard, even when it's messy, is already more powerful than you know. Because the truth is, you can do scared, you can do uncertain, you can do imperfect. But you cannot do nothing. You don't need a sign. This is the sign. You don't need the world's permission, you only need your own. So I want you to make a decision today, not just in your mind, but in your spirit, that you will no longer sit in the backseat of your own life, that you will not let fear write the ending of your story, that from this moment forward, no matter how slow, no matter how scared, no matter how unsure you will, try. Because once you really start, life will meet you halfway, and what you'll discover isn't just success, it's yourself, the self that never gave up, the self that showed up, the self that turned effort into excellence. And baby, once that fire is lit in you, no one can put it out. Less lame effort is free, excuses are costly. You see, effort doesn't require a trust fund. It doesn't require fame or approval or a perfect resume. It only requires you. It's the one currency that is equally distributed at the start of every day. Every single one of us wakes up with a choice to try or to hide behind the stories we tell ourselves. You don't need anyone's permission to try. You don't need the stars to align. Trying is available to you the moment you decide to stop waiting. Now, excuses, they sound so innocent at first, don't they? I'll start tomorrow. I don't have enough experience. What if I fail? But excuses are subtle thieves. They rob you silently. They take away your now and replace it with never. They feel like protection, but they are limitations in disguise. Every excuse you make today can turn into a regret tomorrow. Trying costs discomfort. Excuses cost destiny. Effort, on the other hand, creates momentum. It opens doors. It shows you what you're made of. Even if you don't reach the goal immediately, trying rewires your spirit. It shifts your energy. It tells the universe you are ready. And that readiness, that's when life starts to move. That's when people notice. That's when things start showing up for you. You are allowed to be a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. So don't wait for perfect conditions. Put in the effort. Start messy. Start scared, but start, because the cost of not trying, that's the highest price you'll ever pay. Your circumstances don't define your potential. Some people are born into ease. Others are born into storms. And while we don't all start at the same point in the race, what determines the finish line isn't where we begin. It's whether we believe we can run. The world will try to measure your worth by your environment, by your last name, your zip code, the job your parents had. But you are not your environment. You are your intention. You are your willingness to rise. History is full of people who came from nothing and gave the world everything. They weren't special. They tried. They refused to let their surroundings limit their imagination. They refused to let other people's definitions become their destiny. Your circumstances are the soil, yes, but you are the seed. And I don't care how poor the soil looks, the right amount of sunlight and consistent effort will make that seed grow. Sometimes the people around you can't see your potential because they're trapped in the same circumstances you're trying to escape. That's okay. Your job isn't to make them believe in you. Your job is to believe in yourself loudly. To try even when the odds are stacked. Especially when the odds are stacked. Because if you can grow in the dark, imagine how brightly you'll bloom when the light finally hits. You were never meant to fit into a mold. You were born to break it. Failure is part of progress, not a reason to quit. Let's talk about failure. The big, scary, shameful F word we've been taught to avoid like the plague. We live in a world that celebrates wins, trophies, and flawless Instagram lives. But nobody shows the nights they cried alone. Nobody posts the job rejection, the broken prototype, the launch that flopped. But failure, that's where the real magic is. That's the fire that forges the steel. You don't fail because you're weak. You fail because you're trying something bigger than you've done before. That's not weakness, that's bravery. Every setback is a lesson carved into your soul. You learn your limits, yes, but more importantly, you learn how to push past them. You learn to fall and get back up. You learn that your worth is not attached to outcomes. You realize that resilience doesn't come from winning. It comes from continuing. The people who make it are not the ones who never failed. They're the ones who never let failure convince them to stop. Don't let a bad chapter define your whole story. Don't let a detour make you forget the destination. Trying again after failure is not foolish. It's faithful. It's an act of rebellion against fear. And one day, when you do succeed, and you will, that failure will become part of the victory speech. You'll look back and say, that was the moment I almost quit. And I'm so glad I didn't. A fear is natural, but trying is how we grow. Let's be honest. Trying something new will scare you. Every time you step into the unknown, fear will rise up like a fog. It'll whisper to you, what if you fall? But I want you to ask back, what if I fly? Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're entering new territory, that you're on the edge of expansion. And on that edge is where you either shrink or soar. You will never grow by staying where it feels safe. You grow by stretching, by stumbling, by feeling your heart race and doing it anyway. Fear is not your enemy. It's your compass. It points to the places you haven't yet explored in yourself. Trying is how you explore them. Every time you do something that scares you, you make yourself bigger than the fear. You shrink the doubt. You rewrite your brain to say, I can do hard things. Don't wait to be fearless. That moment may never come. But you can be brave. Courage doesn't shout. It shows up quietly. It's that voice that says, okay, maybe I'm scared, but I'm going to try anyway. And when you do, you realize that fear didn't have the power you thought it did. That you've been powerful all along. You just had to step forward and meet the next version of you. Every successful person started by showing up. People love to celebrate the finish line. But the truth is, nobody gets there without first just showing up. That's the part we don't see. We don't see the writer staring at a blank page every morning. The singer practicing alone in their room for years. The entrepreneur pitching their dream and getting 1,000 no's before that one yes. They all had one thing in common: they showed up before success showed up for them. Consistency matters more than brilliance. Persistence trumps perfection. If you want something, don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to feel worthy. Show up for the work, and eventually, the work shows up for you. Every day you choose to try, even when no one's watching. You're building something invisible but powerful: trust, self-trust, discipline, resilience. That's the foundation every great life is built on. So don't worry if today feels small or insignificant. Don't discount the power of showing up tired, showing up discouraged, showing up imperfect. Because those are the moments that shape you, that prove to the world and to yourself that you're serious. And that seriousness, it attracts opportunities. Keep showing up. One day someone will call it overnight success, but you will know better. You owe it to yourself to see what's possible. There comes a point in every person's life when they realize that no one else is coming to save them. No one is going to live their dreams for them. No one is going to knock on their door and hand them a fulfilled life. You have to decide that you are worth showing up for, that your dreams are not optional, they are sacred. You owe it to yourself to see what's possible. Because if you don't, you will spend your whole life living under someone else's idea of what's possible for you. This isn't about ego. This is about honor. Honoring the gifts inside you that haven't been used yet. Honoring the dreams that keep nudging you at night. Honoring the whisper that says, there's more. You weren't put on this earth just to pay bills and die. You were put here to become. And the only way to do that is to try. Yes, it's scary to bet on yourself, but you have to, because no one else will do it with the same urgency, the same fire, the same soul. And when you try, not for applause, not for approval, but for you, you unlock a deeper kind of power, a sacred kind of power, the kind that moves mountains. So give yourself permission to go all in. Not because it's guaranteed, but because you are worth the effort. Comfort zones are prisons built from excuses. Comfort feels good until it doesn't. Until the stillness starts to feel like suffocation. Until you start shrinking in the same routine that once felt safe. That's what comfort zones do. They lull you into quiet resignation. But make no mistake, comfort can be a cage. And the bars are made of the same stories we tell ourselves to avoid risk. I'm too old. It's not the right time. I'm not ready. Those are not truths, they are traps. You know what else is in that cage? Your growth, your dreams, your brilliance. You think staying comfortable is keeping you safe, but really, it's keeping you small. It's keeping you stuck. The longer you stay, the harder it gets to remember who you were before the fear set in. Trying, just the act of trying, is how you start to chip away at those walls. You don't have to blow them up overnight. Just take one step, make one change, speak one truth, and then another. Every single time you push against your comfort zone, it gets weaker, and you get stronger. One day you'll look back and realize the only thing that ever held you back was the belief that you had to stay where it felt safe. But you never did. You just had to try. Action beats perfection every time. Perfection is a liar. It convinces you that unless it's flawless, it's not worth starting. It makes you think you need all the answers before you begin. But here's what I know: people don't succeed because they're perfect. They succeed because they act, they move, they try. Action is where clarity lives, not in overthinking, not in endlessly planning. Clarity comes when you put your hands in the clay of your life and start shaping something, even if it's messy, especially if it's messy, because that's how you learn, you adjust, you grow. Perfection keeps you stuck in your head. Action gets you into the world. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't wait until they have perfect balance. They wobble, they fall, they get up. But they keep trying, and every stumble strengthens them. You have to give yourself permission to be in that stage. Let go of the illusion that you have to get it right the first time. You won't. And that's not failure, that's life. Start with what you have, where you are, how you are. There's something sacred about imperfect beginnings. Something honest, something real. And real is what the world is waiting for. Trying is a form of self-respect. Let's talk about what it means to respect yourself, not in theory, but in action. Trying is not just about ambition, it's about dignity. It's about honoring your inner voice when it tells you you are meant for more. Respecting yourself means not turning away from that voice just because it's inconvenient, or hard, or uncertain. It means answering it with action. Trying is you saying to yourself, I matter. It's you standing up for the part of you that still believes. It's you refusing to abandon your own potential. Because every time you try, even when it's quiet, even when no one sees it, it is an act of love toward yourself, of trust, of courage. Too often, we give our best energy to other people's dreams. We show up for jobs we don't love, relationships that drain us, expectations that don't belong to us. But we don't show up for ourselves. That has to change. Your dreams deserve your energy. Your soul deserves your effort. And trying is how you show yourself that you're not giving up, that you're still in the ring, that your life is yours. So the next time you feel like quitting, ask yourself this: if I really loved and respected myself, what would I do right now? And then do that. That's what trying looks like. If you don't try, you've already said no to yourself. Every time you hesitate, every time you hold back, every time you let fear make your decisions, you are quietly saying no to yourself. Not to the world, not to opportunity, to you. You are closing the door on your own potential before anyone else even had the chance. Trying isn't about whether you succeed or fail. It's about saying yes. Yes to showing up. Yes to possibility. Yes to the unknown. Yes to the fact that you are still breathing, still growing, and still capable of doing something new. If you don't try, nothing changes. But when you do, everything is possible. There are people in this world who would give anything for the opportunities you have right now. The freedom you have to speak, to move, to choose. Don't waste that. Don't hand your power over to doubt. Say yes. Say yes even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Trying is how you tell the world, I believe in me. But more importantly, it's how you tell yourself. It's a promise you keep with your future. And if you can do that, if you can try again and again, you will unlock a life that you didn't even know was waiting for you. And one day, you'll look back with tears in your eyes and gratitude in your heart. And you'll say, I'm so glad I said yes. And so now, as we reach the end of this message, I want to invite you into a moment of stillness. Just a moment, because the world is loud. The doubt is loud. Oh, it's loud. But your spirit, it speaks in whispers. And if you listen closely, if you lean in just a little deeper right now, you'll hear it. That voice inside you that says, I was meant for more. More than excuses, more than limitations, more than surviving the day, the week, the year. More than pretending you're okay settling for half a life when your soul was built to live in full color. And the only thing standing between the life you dream about and the life you are living is the moment you choose to try. Not for applause, not for perfection, not even for the guarantee of success, but because trying is your way of saying, I will no longer abandon myself. You see, every time you try, even when you're scared, even when it's messy, even when it doesn't go how you planned, you're declaring something powerful, that your hope is bigger than your history, that your purpose is louder than your pain, that your future deserves a chance. And I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work? And to that, I say, what if you don't try? What if you let the fear win? What if you keep sitting on your dreams, your gifts, your ideas, until time runs out? Because time is not waiting for any of us. The clock is ticking. The days are moving. And you don't get to rewind the tape of your life and try again from the beginning. But what you do have is now, this moment, this choice. To stop asking for permission, to stop hiding behind distractions, behind doubt, behind all the reasons why you can't. To stop believing the lie that your dream has an expiration date. Because trying is not a luxury. It is a responsibility. To the version of you who's still fighting. To the little kid in you who once believed in anything. To the people watching you, even silently, who need to see what courage looks like. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave enough to begin. And brave enough to begin again, if needed. And again, and again. And when you look back on your life, not just years from now, but even tomorrow, you will never regret trying. You will never regret showing up for yourself. You will never regret saying, this is my life. This is my shot, and I'm going for it. Because at the end of the day, it won't be the failures that haunt you. It will be the silence, the dreams you buried, the risks you didn't take, the love you didn't speak, the chances you passed up because the excuse felt safer than the possibility. But right now, this second, you have the power to rewrite that, to make a new choice, to begin again. And you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest with yourself. Let them doubt you. Let them wonder. Let them talk. You try anyway, because trying makes you dangerous to every limitation that's ever tried to define you. So take the risk, write the book, start the business, have the conversation, make the change, raise your hand, speak your truth, show up for your dream. Try, because when you do, you'll find that it was never about what you achieved. It was always about who you became in the process. The strongest, realest, fiercest version of you. The one who refused to live in regret. The one who said, I may not have had it easy, I may not have had it perfect, but I showed up, I gave it everything, I tried. And because I tried, I lived. And to that version of you, I say, welcome home.